I do think, despite what Kevin Stefanski said, and he's right. Yeah, I mean, the training camp is about competition, and there are other spots on the roster that are being competed for and whatnot outside the quarterback. But the reality is they got 4 guys. Don't know if any of them can play. Don't know if any of them can help you win games. We think maybe Joe Flacco could help you win some games. We don't know about Kenny Pickett. We certainly don't know about Dillon Gabriel. We don't know about Shedeur Sanders. And quite frankly, with just the way some of this has been structured, and I get why it is being structured the way it is. Okay, I'm not criticizing that, because this is what happens when you're trying to go through 4 quarterbacks during a training camp. Like, they got to get this thing pared down and quickly. And I got to be honest with you. I don't think Shedeur Sanders has gotten a fair shake. And when I say fair shake, I'm talking about reps on the field.
Right.
Like, I don't know how you can say that dude has a chance to win a quarterback competition when he has taken, to this point, 0, nil, nada, zip, none reps with the first team offense. Dillon Gabriel is getting first team reps in red zone. He's getting first team reps 11 on 11 in 2-minute drill and other situations. Shedeur Sanders is being sent to another practice field at times to get his work in. I don't know how you can say this is a true 4-man quarterback competition when you're doing those things. And Kenny Pickett, more often than not, he's the first guy up in 11 on 11. He was the first guy up in mandatory minicamp in June. He's been the first guy up a couple of days. Now, Joe Flacco was first up one of the days. But yeah, Kenny Pickett's getting a lot of first team reps as well.
So what you hit on, the first part of what you hit on there is my frustration with this is don't lie to the fans, and people, we've got somebody tweeting at us at Nick Brown's fan, who tweets us at Nick Padone 12 at Right or Wrong fan. Social media reactions on X brought to you guys by Scheiben Jewelers. Says Sanders, the developmental quarterback. AB said it earlier this week. Not his fault. The media refuses that narrative. I'm not putting this blame on the media for reporting this as a 4-man quarterback competition, because that's what the organization is continuing to say. It's a 4-man quarterback competition. Okay, well, why are you selling it to me as a 4-man quarterback competition when one of these 4 guys in Shedeur Sanders is not being given a fair shake? He's just not. And if it was a true and honest quarterback competition, he would have already taken snaps with the ones. The New England Patriots drafted 2 quarterbacks in 2024, which was just last NFL draft. That's because they took Drake May at 3. The Washington Redskins, which I know a lot of people were comparing this situation in that we've got going on in Cleveland to when they drafted RG3 and Kirk Cousins in 2011. RG3 was the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft, and Kirk Cousins was 102. Like, teams aren't doing a 3rd and a 5th. It's never been done before. Never.
It's the ultimate. We are literally throwing stuff against the wall, praying to some deity on high that it's going to work.
And that's not a strategy. Isn't that Andrew Berry's big thing that he always says, is that hope isn't a strategy? That was why they moved off of Baker, because we can't hope that Baker develops and turns into a franchise quarterback, because hope isn't a strategy. Seems like our current strategy right now is doing a whole lot of hoping.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what it looks like to me. Like, that 100% it looks like it that to me.
Doesn't it feel like, Daryl, that they've got the training wheels on Shedeur?
I think that Shedeur would look infinitely better than Dillon Gabriel with the first unit if he got the opportunity.
I agree. I want to say this as well. I'm looking forward to, you asked me how much I'm looking forward to this Browns season, 4 practices in to start the show, and I still am looking forward to it. A big thing that I'm looking forward to his point there, come preseason, I need to see Shedeur Sanders start a game, at least one. And if he balls out, the Browns are not going to be able to continue to hide and say that he's developing and that he's a project and all of these labels that we've heard slapped on to Shedeur Sanders as to why he hasn't taken snaps with the ones yet. Like, let Shedeur get out there in a preseason game against a jersey that's not Browns players and ball out. The noise is going to get loud both locally and nationally, and they're not going to be able to ignore that, in my opinion.
And I got to be honest with you, I do feel like that's a factor. Now, the Browns will say absolutely not, okay? But contrary to public perception amongst fans, there are a lot of smart people working in that building. Now, I don't necessarily always agree with a lot of decisions those folks make, okay? I'll question that, but there are a lot of smart folks working in that building, and they're not dumb. They know. I mean, we've heard, Shedeur when he came up to the podium the other day, and he, making jokes about the content competition amongst all of us, right? To get his content out there. He knows, he understands his popularity. And I don't think the Browns want to open that can of worms right now. I think that they are trying to protect themselves. They knew what they were getting into when they drafted him, but I think they do want to protect themselves a little bit, and also to protect Shedeur. And I'm going to explain coming up next what I mean by that. I feel like that part of this whole thing with Shedeur Sanders and their approach, Nick, because again, you are Junior Shashill. You accept that responsibility, right? You are Junior Shashill on the station.
I've got some thoughts on this.
Okay. You confirm that, though.
Confirmed.
First day, you had the jersey on. We're getting ready for camp. You came in here with your number 12. So you're Junior Shashill. You and Jonathan Peterlin teaming up to make it happen for him. But I've got some thoughts on why I think the Browns are approaching the Shedeur Sanders situation the way they are. And it's not 100%. It's not 100% all about football. I like where your head is at, Nick. But there's this little thing called reality that I like to live in. It's never happened. Andrew Berry, absolutely. You'll never, ever hear Andrew Berry come out and be like, yeah, I pulled off one of the worst trades in NFL history.
Well, make no bones about that.
By the way, hey, Jimmy and D, thanks for the contract extension.
That's why we're here. That's why we're having this conversation about these 4 quarterbacks that really none of them are the answer. We're here because the Deshaun Watson trade was just that bad. This is the carnage of that. This is the Browns recovering. The smart NFL people in the national media said when the Browns made that trade that if this thing doesn't work out, it's going to set the organization back 5 years. Well, welcome to it.
You're in the middle of it, 100%. And they still haven't been able to dig themselves out from underneath it. And to be perfectly honest with you, might be another year or two before they're even able to do that. And that's not me hating. That's not me being negative. That's just me being realistic. The situation is the situation.
Right.
And we can sit here and we could spend the next 3 hours crying over the situation they find themselves in, which, by the way, is of their own choosing and of their own making. But that just accomplishes nothing. Now, what they have to make the best of what they have. The issue is, I don't know what they have. I don't know if what they have is going to be sufficient enough. And fine. All right. I wasn't planning on doing it, but let's do it, right? Let's real talk this thing, right?
Yep.
216-474-0092. Tom and Solon, hang tight. Get you in a moment. Joe Flacco is 40 years old. They may have squeezed the last great football out of his career when they dusted him off the couch in 2023, right? Yep. He did things that no Browns quarterback ever did. I think he threw for 300 yards in 4 of the 5 starts, if my memory serves me correctly. By the way, this stuff happens around the NFL all the time. But here in Cleveland, that is breaking news. That is legendary status.
Yep. Something
that is done everywhere throughout the National Football League finally gets done in Cleveland, and we're ready to build the guy a statue. Okay? Kenny Pickett. This is a former first-round pick who had arguably one of the stupidest offensive coordinators in the history of the National Football League. Okay? And played some of the most ugly, god-awful, unwatchable football you'll ever see. However, found a way to win 6-7 games in the fourth quarter, despite all of that. Okay, so there's an intangible there. It ain't pretty, but it's effective. Okay? Then you have Dillon Gabriel, who can't see over the line of scrimmage. And they used the third-round pick for him. You have Dillon Gabriel, who, by the way, is throwing incompletions on air. He's missing receivers on air. No defender on the field. It is him to a spot, to a receiver, and the footballs are hitting the ground. But really good in 7-on-7. He is a great 7-on-7 practice quarterback. Okay? And then you have Shedeur Sanders. And I teased this going into the break. And why I think they're taking the approach that they are with him. As much as they love the headlines, the attention, the clicks, the likes, the interaction, all that kind of stuff, right, with the social media thing. I honestly believe they're handling him with kid gloves right now.
Yep.
They are and what I mean by that is they're trying not to mess him up. In other words, they see the raw talent there, even though they really had no intention of drafting him, which is why what happened. And it was just a, hey, why not? He's there. Let's do it situation. What do we have to lose? Everything to gain, nothing to lose. And I'm not criticizing. You're in the 5th round. I'm not going to criticize that because here's the thing. If Shedeur Sanders washes out, he's not a bust. Not to me. Let's say Shedeur Sanders doesn't become anything in the NFL. And again, I'm not hating on your boy there, little Junior Shashill.
No, you're good.
But let's just for sake of discussion, let's just say for sake of discussion that he washes out. Nothing comes of it. He's not a bust. He is not a bust. Okay? But if he does turn into something, if they're able to develop him and turn him into a player, that potentially then becomes one of the greatest picks in Cleveland Browns history. And I really feel like they're intentionally handling him with kid gloves. I don't think that they're sabotaging him. I don't think that they're in some respects they are holding him back because they're trying to protect him a little bit. Again, there are reps, granted, on air, where they run out of receivers and he's throwing to the ball boys. He's throwing to the equipment staff. He's throwing to assistant coaches because Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dillon Gabriel, they get all the receivers to throw to. Some drills where they can't get Shedeur reps, they send him to another field so he can still get work in. And I understand all that. But I do feel like there are no dummies over there in Berea. They know the lightning rod this kid is. And I think they also realize they better not mess him up.
Let me just ask this then. How did we get here? And is it like a Browns thing? It's evidently not because he slid to the 5th round. So other teams had red flags about him.
31.
Correct. And passed on him multiple times. Did all other 31 NFL teams. But how did we get here? Because coming out, from the time where Shedeur Sanders played his last final game with the Colorado Buffaloes until the NFL draft, everybody was reporting that Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders were the most NFL-ready quarterbacks coming out. Everything about Shedeur Sanders was that he does what Kevin Stefanski's offense does really well. He could go play action. He has an explosive arm where he could drive the ball down the field to guys like Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku. His skill set matched what the Browns want to do. And he was coined as an NFL-ready, pro-ready prospect coming out this season. So how did we get to this point where now all of the sudden we have to put the kid gloves on? We have to put the training wheels on Shedeur Sanders as this distant developmental project, as if he's some sort of football imbecile that has no idea what he's doing, and that of all organizations, the Browns have the magic secret sauce that will help push Shedeur over the edge and really unlock him as a player, because that's worked so well with the other guys that we had to trust that they had a real good development plan in Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who somehow de-evolved as a quarterback. He somehow got worse as a quarterback during his time with the Cleveland Browns than he was at UCLA. That's what we're trusting here. All right, I'm signed up for it, evidently. 216-474-0092. I'm strapped into the rest of the camp. I'm strapped into the rest of the preseason. 17 games to get through. I'm not buying what they're telling me. I'm not buying this propaganda that he's some sort of idiot that needs developed. I just don't see it. When for months everybody said that this dude was pro ready. Now all of a sudden he's not. If Dillon Gabriel popped, it would be fun, because if Dillon Gabriel somehow became the franchise quarterback, it would be a Disney movie in and of itself. That some kid from Hawaii, who during his time at Oregon repeated to everybody how much he hated playing in the cold because he's a little dude at 5'11", left-handed, comes into the AFC North and balls out. Like, that's what we have to pull for, is either a dude that's banking on a fake slide that he did in the ACC almost a decade ago, and a guy that hates the cold weather, and he's going to be signed up for cold weather here in 3 or 4 months.
Well, one of my many slogans I have for the Browns it would be, what could go wrong? Look, it's by all accounts a really good quarterback room behind the scenes. Got good kids here. But I just don't have a lot of confidence that the on-the-field product is going to reflect maybe what's going on, like the behind the scenes, right? I have Dillon Gabriel's a great kid. And there's a part of me that honestly feels bad harping on his height and the fact that he's 5'11". But like, as I'm standing there the other day, when he and Shedeur had their time at the podium, like, it just was not hard for me to notice that the microphones were a lot closer to Dillon Gabriel's mouth than they were Shedeur Sanders. Like, it was really hard for me to miss that. It's really hard for me to miss how Joe Flacco towers over him.
Yep.
It's hard for me to miss that when they are running reps, it's hard for me at times to see where he is, depending like where my viewpoint is on the field, right? It's hard for me at times to see what the hell he's doing out there. Like, I can't see where he's looking.
Could I read this real quick? His NFL draft summary, it's very short. It's a couple of short sentences on Dillon Gabriel. His NFL potential is hampered by his size limitations. That size also led to Gabriel's conservative approach, as he frequently missed opportunities for big plays in 2024. Isn't that what we're sick of as Browns quarterbacks? 216-474-0092.
Size ain't everything, or maybe it is. Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone, that's coming up next, along with you here on The Fan.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and this is not a commercial for RoofMax, although last month I personally RoofMaxed the home of a lady in Florida. It's true. This poor woman was about to pay $30,000 for a brand new roof she didn't even need. Now, the whole RoofMaxing process took us less than 2 hours and saved her a fortune. And when we finished, this woman was so happy she hugged me for like 10 minutes. Honestly, it got a little weird. Point is, a lot of people who think they need a new roof don't. So pay attention to the actual RoofMax commercial coming up later on this station. It could save you a bundle.
Think you need a new roof? Think again and save thousands. 855-RoofMax. We'll help you put off the high cost of a roof replacement for at least 5 years. Or 10.
Or sometimes even 15.
855-RoofMax.
We're America's most trusted roofer because we always try to save your roof rather than replace it.
855-RoofMax. We'll restore your roof for a fraction of the cost of a new one. But don't wait. If your roof loses too much protective coating, it's too late. So call 855-RoofMax.
And Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Cleveland Public Library welcomes Larry Lester, an expert on Negro Leagues baseball. Larry shares the legacy of black baseball and its impact on Cleveland. Friday, August 8th at 6 p.m. downtown. Information at cpl.org.
Hey, it's Adam the Bull for Perino Builders and Remodeling. And folks, if you're looking to build a new home, if you're looking to remodel.
Let me say this. I think it's going to be interesting tomorrow and this week here as they go through it to see, if any, what adjustments Kevin Stefanski makes with this quarterback competition. Does Kenny Pickett continue to get the volume of first-team reps, which I'm going to say yes, he does.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco. Do they scale back Dylan Gabriel? Because, look, I don't think Dylan Gabriel's an NFL starter. I don't think he's an NFL starter in the making. Shedeur Sanders is more of an NFL starter in the making.
So this doesn't, and that's why I'm borderline losing my mind about this. Because then why are we wasting our time with anything but the guys that can become NFL starters? Like, you ask anybody, you read anything about Dylan Gabriel, and they all have the same concerns. It's not just the size. It's that the size leads to a lot of his hesitations, which you just cannot have in the National Football League when you're trying to read a defense and trying to be the point guard of the field. You can't be hesitating back there in the pocket. I've watched so many Browns quarterbacks do that and get happy feet and just be shell-shocked by a rush coming. That's how you ruin guys. So why are we wasting our time with this then? Like if we've got a guy in Shedeur Sanders that could potentially become a franchise quarterback, what are we doing?
Well, they're taking their time. Sometimes the best things come to those who wait.
You're in a time, in an era of Browns football right now where you're trying to figure out what works. And that's like, why isn't Shedeur then part of that equation? Like, why is he the one that you have to wait and see? And I do get the, we really were really excited for DTR because he put together a really nice showing in the Pro Football Hall of Fame game in the Joe Thomas celebratory weekend. And then he balled out in a couple of preseason games as well. So you thought you maybe have found something in the 5th round there. That wasn't the case, but you at least found out that it wasn't the case. And then you still had Deshaun Watson was a thing. Jameis Winston was a thing. Like, you had other guys ahead of DTR. This, like, what am I looking at here with Gabriel, Flacco, and Pickett that I could say with my chest that they're for sure better than Shedeur Sanders? I just can't do that.
I'm getting to a point like I want to see. Show me him.
It's just curiosity, isn't it?
Give him a practice. Yeah. Because, like, Dylan Gabriel does nothing for me. I think I know what I'm going to get from Joe Flacco. So there's not a whole lot of time early in this competition that I think needs to be set aside for him. And again, that's no disrespect to Joe. Right. Actually, that is a sign of respect. Like, I know what you bring to the table. I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
It's, I think, part of the reason we're seeing so much of Kenny Pickett. Like, they are trying to determine if that guy has anything. And the only way you're going to find that out, Nick, is by giving the dude reps. And they're giving him a lot of opportunities.
Which I think is a good thing. I do think that you have to see what you have in Pickett because you gave up a 5th round pick for him. Joe Flacco.
Dude, it's a 5th round pick. Who cares?
5th rounders pop.
Not
sometimes,
in Cleveland.
Evidently. But I do think you need to see all of these guys this year. Like, that's the conversation that we went into camp saying, like, this is a season where you're throwing crap at the wall and seeing what sticks.
They are not.
You might as well throw all your crap if you're going to start flinging it around.
Well, they are not preparing Shedeur Sanders to start a game this year. I that's just my observation, just based on what I'm observing.
Well, sure.
You can't tell me that they are preparing that guy to potentially start a game this year. Like, no way.
Well, the calendar's about to flip to August, and he hasn't taken a snap with the ones as a rookie quarterback. Right. So how would you expect him?
You know who they are preparing to start a game this year? Dylan Gabriel.
Can't wait.